G'day again. So, do you guys remember the Икар 64, otherwise known as the Icarus from Ukraine? Spectrum clone, of course. I actually got this one working. The problem was, I think the ROMs were in the wrong way round, and the one of the sockets was a bit dodgy, so you had to wiggle it and it worked. So I replaced both sockets and then it stopped working. So I got rather disappointed, frustrated with myself. I think what happened is there was a bit of metal went underneath one of these other logic chips. You can see there's no coating, so basically causing it to short out. And I did try desoldering, but I was having no luck. And some of these boards you've got to be careful with your desoldering that you don't damage them. So the reason I've got it out again is I got a second one. Always easier to troubleshoot when you've got a second to compare with. So I don't know if that second one works. Let's give it a go. Go. Here is Icar 64 number 2 with the interesting expansion connector. I've got the standard, so we've got like a TV out. I've gone through all this before. 5 volts input, so it's actually a DIN male socket. Magnetophone, I think that's the RGB out there. And I'm not sure what that was. Tape in, tape out, maybe? I don't know. RGB adjustment there. So yeah, it's quite a nice. This one's obviously needs a bit of a clean, but it is quite a nice, well-built kind of machine. It is quite heavy, metal. 1991. So this is number 767 apparently. Yeah, so I guess it's Soviet 91, depending on when in 1991 it was built, I guess. So we've got, well, having said that, we've got Phillips heads, so that's not very Soviet. So on either end. So basically the idea is that you unscrew one end and you can take it off. So let's do that. Or actually, no, let's just try and power it on, see what it does. So this is the RGB cable I made before. So we'll go in there. You zoom out a bit. So RGB cable into there. And I've got a USB power cable. Whoops. Put him back up there. So USB on one end, and then we've got our receptacle there. There we go. So let me, okay, power, okay, so RGB is on. Plug in. So yeah, I braided this cable, so anyway, whatever. That's plugged into there and plug it into the power. And okay, it's working, but the RGB is not very good. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, it was. Oh, there we go. So we've got Icar 64, but yeah, obviously not a very stable image at all. But it is working. 10. I do like the touch sensitive. I don't know if can you zoom out any further? No. 10 print. Is it symbol shift? Yep. 10 print. So it is quite a light touch as well. So I quite like it. So we've got that up there, and then we just go run. Okay, so the output, the RGB output's not stable, but the machine is otherwise working. That's a good start. Okay, let's pull her apart. Okay, I've got one end unscrewed. Comes off. How did I do this? Okay, that comes off as well. Okay, some bodge work up there. Let's finish unscrewing this one. There we go. Okay. All right. So I say nicely made case. I quite like it. And the keyboard works quite well, even though it's a touch membrane keyboard. It seems to work brilliantly, nicely made. Okay, so that's upside down. So we've got this expansion type interface at the front of the machine as well, which is interesting. Yeah, obviously there is no space there for it. Okay, so we've got two more Phillips heads for the keyboard. And then two flat heads up there with some insulating washers. Okay. Okay. Right, so we've got two Western ROMs. The original one's got Soviet ceramic ones, so maybe swap them over. So that's power input there. That was RGB output there. So what could be? Okay. Okay. So maybe it's just as simple as a switch, perhaps. So on the back of the machine, we've got RGB, and then we've got this little hole here. Well, of course, my mind immediately thought security Kensington lock goes in there. Duh. But it's actually, so we've got the pots for the RGB, and then we've got a switch. So maybe, I don't know, like with one of the other machines, inverted RGB. So it's actually got two. So it's actually got two switches on it. It's got one at the front, one at the back. So maybe it's just as simple as having just to adjust those switches, perhaps, to get it to sync properly. I'm just trying to see. Oh yes, I'm too zoomed in, aren't I? I'm just trying to. So I'm just looking at it here. It does look like that this switch has got. So there's two different. So these do two different things for something. So why don't I just power it back on and see what happens. So let's connect in the RGB again, which was this one here. Connect in the power. No, that's not power. Well, it is actually, but not for this one. Okay, keyboard light is on. Alright, actually let me show you what I'm doing. So that is gone, no screen at all now. Let me just readjust the camera. Okay, so that's with both switches to the right. So if I move the front switch to the left, we get nothing except for my arm. Okay, move it back to the right. Nothing. Okay. Oh, there we go. Right, now move the back switch to the left. Move it back to the right. Move it to the left. No. Move the front switch to the left. Okay. So it doesn't, unfortunately, that's both switches back to the right. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to help. I'll have a bit of a fiddle. And let's see. Right, so if we maybe guess that the issue is to do with the sync. So I did adjust the colours and I could see the colours were being adjusted. But if we do maybe just say, okay, there's an issue with the sync signal, then that is, sorry for my dangling, I'm just going to connect it to the white cable there. So I think it was, okay, so it's that one there, which runs onto here, to this capacitor here. So if I want to be simplistic and lazy, it's like, okay, maybe the issue is the capacitor is dried up and isn't working properly. So I can maybe replace that capacitor. But the other thing I noticed is, so this is the section here. Let me just go up a bit. So this is the capacitor I'm going to change for the sync, but this is the RGB adjustment here. So obviously we've got capacitors, we've got resistors, and this is the switch here that I was adjusting before. But if we look on the underside, then we've got our RGB there. We've got that chip there, but with these resistors here, we've got all these bodge wires. I don't think I remember seeing it on the other board. So there's definitely been some changes there. So that's the sync signal there. That's the trace there to the DIN socket. There is a bit of flux residue there, but it's not actually connected to there. So that's the resistor capacitor there, goes from there, I guess, to ground or something. But yeah, this is interesting. Let me get the other board out again. Okay. So I had a look on. So this one is apparently a 92. So this is my original one here. So let's just zoom out, and there is no bodginess. So it could be, because I know that there were sometimes requirements to make modifications to the TV perhaps to get this stuff to work. But there's certainly no bodginess going on here. Oh, in fact, actually that's where that big capacitor was. Sorry. For the sync, it is not there. All right, let me sort this out. So yeah, so this is the original one I had, but it's a later build, 92. It does not have this big capacitor. That is missing. In fact, Looks like an additional hole was drilled for it actually. Yeah. So let me just go mobile. So there we can see it looks like, let me get my pointer. So it looks like a hole was, last thing I want to do is bloody introduce random bits of metal. So it looks like a hole was actually drilled into the ground plane on the other side for this capacitor. We look on the original one. Where's that? Where did it go? Where is it? It's there. So it goes to there, and they've drilled a hole there to actually add it in. Curious. Curious here and curious here. And of course, like I said, it doesn't have all this bodge work going to this chip here. What is it? K155RE3. It's got number 44 written on both. So I'll look up what that is. Maybe it's IC number 44. I don't know. But yeah, so I like my ceramic. I like the ceramic ROMs, and I know that they're working. You can see I've added some. That's actually some other work I did there. Nice capacitors. So let me just yeah. So what do you reckon? That's actually, what's that? I don't know what that is. Yeah. So yeah, so that's interesting. So that capacitor's not there, and all that bodge wire's not there. What do you reckon? I'll just pull this out. I reckon just pull this out to start with. See what it does, and I can actually test it as well. Right, got it out. So it is apparently 50 microfarads, 12 volts. So hope you notice I did cut my fingernails, clean my finger. I was out mowing the grass early today. It was very hot and humid, and I came back in and realised that sometimes you guys are unfortunately treated to close-ups of my hands and fingers, so I almost have to act like a hand model, so that yeah, because the hands were a bit filthy after working in the backyard. So I do like this one. These axial ones aren't. I do like some of these Soviet, especially these fat ones. They are like, they've got some real weight to them, some real heft to them. So I do quite like. So I don't actually throw these parts away. I actually do keep them. Where? Whoops! No idea what that was. Is this my little? Yeah, it's my little Soviet parts bin, I think. There's my ULAs for my Moldovan bite. Sneaky little AEG full wave rectifier that they snuck into a Soviet TV. Oh, look at that! But yeah, some of these, especially these ones, these have got a real. Sorry, I've got these capacitors have got like a real weight to them. So, yeah, what are these? Kia. Anyway, right. Getting sidetracked. So yeah, if the part is pretty nice, then I usually do keep it. I don't just chuck them away. So let me switch that to capacitance. Which one? I assume that this is the negative end here. Maybe. Oh yeah, and it says positive anyway up the other end. The positive. Okay. Just wrap around like that, so it's making good. I just don't want to be touching it and interfere. 67 microfarads. That's not too far off. What did it say? 50 microfarads, and it's coming up on the. Whoops. So is that within spec? Usually is, isn't it? 67 microfarads. No, that's the wrong way around. Yeah, all right. Well, so it maybe the capacitor's okay. Well, now that I've taken it out, although that other bodge work's still in there, I will check to see if it's made any difference. Now that we're not got a capacitor to ground. Okay. Yeah, so it's worse. Not getting any signal at all. That's interesting. Well, briefly get something, but yeah, it's all just blech. So yeah. So in this case, it definitely did require it. Let's power it off. Of course, it could also have something to do with all this bodge work as well. So if you've got all this bodge work in, then you might also require it. I wish do I have schematics? I don't think I've got schematics for the Icarus. That's the only problem. So I'll put in a I'll put a new 50 microfarad radial or axial in, a radial axial, and see if we can go back to where we were. Okay, I didn't have a 50 microfarad. I've got a 47 microfarad axial. Put it back in, getting the same result as last time. So I'm getting an image at least. But yeah, so now that I've looked a bit further, I can see that there is further work done on that sync signal trace. So, where's my poker? So it goes, yeah, it goes there from the DIN. It goes under here, this capacitor here, and then it goes along to here. You can see it's been cut here. So, yeah. So I guess maybe if I remove this, maybe I need to restore this there, because there was no... Well, no... Having said that, this is connected to this diode here. Which goes to there. And under here goes to this chip. So two different. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig through the archives to see if I actually did get a schematic for this. I'm not sure, because that would help to understand why these changes have been made to the RGB output, because the RGB output is where the issue is. Obviously it's it's working, but it's not working too well. I don't know what that is there. That item there is also a bit strange. I really don't know. It's 1,000 something. I can't really see what. Oh, okay. It's where. Ah, okay. It's where those bodge wires go, by the looks of it. Alright, don't fiddle with it too much, Brett. Yeah, okay, so, yeah, there's obviously been some modification. So the machine's working, it's just the video output's not entirely compatible with what I'm trying to do here in Australia in 2023. So I then need to spend some time drawing out this kind of reversing this schematic back from the DIN, and then compare it with my other Icarus. We'll see if I can track down the schematic, and then yeah. Okay, so that's where we're at. So I'm trying not to have these episodes drag on for too long. I want to try and keep them as short as possible, because, well, you guys give me lots of ideas on what to check. So rather than me wasting 5 hours, maybe you guys will see something that I've missed and have some idea. Because I'm certainly not a spectrum expert. No shit, eh? Yeah. All right, well, I hope that was interesting. And yeah, I definitely like these machines. These are probably coming close to my favourite of the specky clones. Anyway, that's it for now. Till next time.